everyone feel bad for the men. Ooh, this is just... Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before, or hi, welcome if you're new. My name's Mickey. I'm a therapist. We talk about therapy things on this channel. Today, we're talking about Love is Blind because, wow, season 9 has turned out to be a mess, honestly. It's like one of those things that's like disappointing but not surprising. I have a lot of thoughts about it. There's a lot to go over, to be clear. I've seen people make some very in-depth videos about the first 6 episodes. This is not that. If you want my in real time, fully fleshed out thoughts about all of the things coming out with me on Friday. We live stream. It's a very fun time. We're also raising money for charity and playing bingo. Highly recommend, but this is going to be a snapshot of the things that stuck out to me the most and some of the most egregious things. So let's get into that. Okay, the first couple that we're going to talk about is this man and Kate. I don't remember his name, I'll be honest. It's a joke on stream to the degree that there's a bingo square that Mickey mixed up them in. I don't remember what his name is. So we're talking about the religious guy and Kate. So let's watch.
How do you handle conflict in a relationship?
Excellent question.
Good argument is healthy sometimes. I do love a little good argument sex once in a while. That can really heat up the moment.
This is my least favorite thing about Love is Blind, when people start with something that seems like fine, and then we just so quickly left turn into weird and awkward sexual innuendos and unnecessary sexual comments. It's like it's like a joke at this point, how often this happens. I do want to point out a couple of things. First of which, notice that this man, despite not having that much of a connection with Kate at this point, is calling her babe and is using a lot of very familiar language to sort of force this sense of familiarity and closeness. Red flag. We're going to talk about that later.
My dad taught me so much about conflict resolution.
Like what?
My mom passed away about a year ago, but they were together my whole life until she passed.
Are you religious, Kate?
I would consider myself spiritual, but I'm not super committed to religion, but I'm also not against religion. It just doesn't play a huge role in my life.
Note this answer. I need to stop it with this. Note that answer because it will become very important in a minute.
I understand. I consider myself to have a personal, quiet relationship with God.
Personal, quiet relationship with God.
I think that's something that gives me a lot of reassurance.
With what I went through with my mom.
Pause. If medical trauma and the death of a loved one is a button for you, know that because we're about to get into that.
After my mom passed, I just remember my brother saying, how could there be a God who would let this happen? My mom had colon cancer and spread across her body over the course of 10 years. And it was so bad. She had tumors popping out of her head. And she was so tortured by it. I mean, poisoning her body to try to beat it. How could a God exist that would ever let a person go through this? It was really fucked up.
First of all, this issue comes up a lot for folks who have done deconstruction, folks who are moving through a period of doubt or difficulty with religion. This is a common issue, right? How could a God exist when XYZ things exist in our regular lives, right? Not just about our own personal things, but about general, especially political things at this point. It's a fair question to ask. And so first of all, please know, if you've experienced this, obviously that's very normal and you're very valid in that. It's I think a logical question to ask. That said, a lot of folks end up being gaslighted by their religion when raising this very valid question by religious authorities and leaders and other religious people by saying your faith is not strong enough or you're not trying hard enough or that's the devil, right? This is the groundwork for a lot of abuse and manipulation and gaslighting and lying and abuse that happens in religion. So I just want to be very vocal about this. We talk about this all the time on this channel, that first of all, that's traumatizing as fuck. But also when folks do this to you, it's not because it's a reflection of you or again, a lack of faith or not trying hard enough. It's because often, especially in high control religious groups, very, very culty religious groups, those groups only continue to exist and function if we lie to people to keep them in. Because the reality of a lot of these, especially fringe religious groups, is that there is a lot of abuse and really fucked up shit that's happening. And a lot of very nonsensical and backwards and abusive and misogynistic and racist and awful beliefs that folks are sort of tasked with just taking at face value. So when you start to ask questions, people don't like that and they push back in a in an abusive and violent way sometimes. So again, I just want to normalize that has nothing to do with you.
I respect the hell out of you for telling me that. I really appreciate how deep we can be.
I also want to point out what a non-answer this is. Instead of being curious about a very vulnerable disclosure, actually, he just said, wow, that's great. Anyways, this is terrible communication. This man's terrible at communication. You know what else people are really bad communicating about? It's sex. It happens all the time. It's really important that we have resources to teach us about communicating regarding sex, which is why I'm very excited to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is Beducated. Y'all know that I'm a big Beducated fanboy, but it's because they are a platform dedicated to all things sex and relationship learning, and their resources are reliable. The courses are led by industry experts. The information that they're offering you is fact-based and safe and reliable, which is obviously something that I'm a big fan of, so I'm excited to share it with you. If I had $1 for every time that somebody came to therapy looking for like real clinical advice about how to tell their partner that like what you're doing is keeping me from coming, or you're really bad at oral, actually, I would have many dollars. It's a very normal issue for people to have. So I think it's important that Beducated has resources and courses about communication and closeness with your partner, obviously, but also about your own pleasure, like what makes you feel good, different types of orgasms, new things I've never even heard of. Even as a therapist who educates about sex and is like a generally pretty sexual person, I would say, I've learned a lot of things, and especially as a late life bisexual, it's been a great resource to answer the questions that you're too afraid to ask. So if you want to experience Beducated, make sure that you click the link in the description. You can get 50% off their annual pass if you use my code Mickey Atkins. They also offer a 14-day money-back guarantee, so you can test it out and see how you feel. But I'm telling you, go click that link in the description, get your 50% off with code Mickey Atkins. Thank you very much to Beducated for sponsoring this week's video. Let's go ahead and hop back in. Remember when I told you that you need to remember, like, put a pin in some of those things? This is why we're going to talk about that now.
You told me you loved me 2 days ago.
I know.
That's kind of fucked up, honestly, on your end.
The fact that I'm having hesitation does not mean that I'm not in love with you, and you are still holding back with me.
You know, I love to hear that. I think you're amazing, but that's a big word, you know?
I did not expect you to give that to me right away, but you should know.
Give that to me? Like it's a currency. I also, we're going to talk about it in a second. Mickey, shut up.
You're the only person I've said that to.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, if you said I love you to two separate people in these pods, that's not love. You could say I like you, I love spending time with you, but you don't say I love you.
This is the only thing that I disagree with, which is that you can only say I love you in like a romantic context to one person, and then if you say that to more than one person, that you're obviously lying. Let me be clear. Polyamory is not for everybody. Not everyone is a polyamorous person, and polyamorous people do in fact exist. So the take that if you love more than one person romantically, that obviously you're lying to one of those people, not great. Obviously that's not true, especially because, again, we normalize being able to really, truly, genuinely, deeply love many of our friends, or have multiple best friends, or to love our family the same, to love our children the same. There is no reason then that the concept of love couldn't extend in a different way to romantic relationships. This is just like silly. Again, I want to be clear. If you don't feel that way, that's for you and that's fine. And I think in this context, like, fair enough. And just for what it's worth.
I just didn't want you to think that I was giving you the slip.
I think you just said that so fast. It felt a lot like love bombing.
That's also fair. This has been my biggest red flag and complaint with this show, which is that the pods as a whole lasts for like 6 days, 8 days. It's no longer than 2 weeks for sure. It's definitely less than 2 weeks. And for people to say I love you in the first like 2 days, cuckoo bananas behavior. I don't know that I believe that. I don't know that I would agree necessarily that this is love bombing in a clinical sense, but I do think it's fair to say that this man seems to regurgitate words and phrases that he thinks are the right thing to like anyone who'll stand still long enough to hear him. There's literally a supercut of him doing this to other people and other women being like, I don't buy that. I don't buy that for 1 second, which I think is a fair read.
That totally invalidates how I felt at that moment, because that moment was real for me.
But love isn't a moment.
Also, I want to point out the way that we're weaponizing the therapy-y of it all in saying your feelings, which are that I'm uncomfortable with this man saying all of these very unnecessarily affectionate things. Remember we talked about him calling her babe and sort of forcing this familiarity there. He's saying you feeling uncomfortable with that invalidates my experience. That's not true. That's not true. That's not how that works. We can say that makes me feel like you don't believe me, or I'm frustrated because I'm being genuine and it seems like that is not coming across, or like you don't believe me. So that sucks, right? That's one thing. But to say your feelings invalidate the existence of mine is first of all wrong. But second of all, again, a weaponization of this language to try to silence her very valid criticisms of his shitty behavior. This is a red flag. This is a red flag. This is so red flag material, it's not even funny.
It's not like it was only in that moment. It was so hard for me to put that out there. So many nights spent awake.
So many nights. Like 2. 2 whole nights, Kate, that he spent feeling feelings, the horror. This is the other thing I wanted to point out. He has said over and over and over and over again, I never expected you to reciprocate the L word. I never want you to feel pressured about that. I didn't say it because I was looking for that. And yet, in this moment, now all of a sudden, boo-hoo wah-wah, this man is so sad because he put his feelings out there and someone didn't reciprocate them. You didn't do the thing that I wanted you to do, and so I felt silly and uncomfortable about it, which is your fault, clearly. What? This doesn't make any sense. Also, it is bizarro to say I'm this sad, helpless little victim because I expressed my feelings, supposedly, honestly, and had to, what, sit with that for like 2 whole days? Hilarious, silly, cuckoo bananas, stupid, dumb, stupid.
Maybe we just have kind of like a different definition of love, but that's okay. I love that you are ready and willing to share that so easily.
This is like such a nice response to what is actually gobbledygook out of this man's mouth. I also want to point out that he is growing continually frustrated with her being patient with him. We're going to talk about that in a second.
It wasn't easy for me.
It wasn't easy. Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't want you to make it less than it is.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. I don't want to do that.
She's being way more generous than this man deserves, in my opinion, and is also, I think, modeling a couple of things, one of which could be an example of what it looks like to be open to receiving feedback from your partner, from anybody, really. Someone saying, okay, well, actually it was this, or like you misunderstood me, it was this, and to say, okay, yeah, no, I don't want you to feel like I'm invalidating that, so heard and understood. This is a very nice way, actually, of communicating. I do think there is a case to be made here for potentially the way that often women, but really anybody who is subjected to misogyny, will be this like very agreeable, open to feedback kind of person when we're in a situation that feels dangerous, right? Sometimes this happens subconsciously where we're not really like consciously thinking through, I feel dangerous and so therefore I'm going to be extra agreeable. But when you live in a world that is violent towards you, literally and figuratively, we develop this survival instinct for escaping uncomfortable situations. And this also kind of read as that to me. Like maybe there's an aspect of like, yeah, okay, for sure. Because it's a way of escaping these uncomfortable and sometimes like emotionally violent interactions.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about it. You're gonna rethink it next time you ask for a fight.
I don't think it's the biggest challenge that we could ever face.
I told you I'm falling for you too. Like, I love that we have so much in common. I love that we both see each other as our perfect matches. We both really care for each other.
See the way that she's saying really nice things and he's sitting over there looking like he is having the existential crisis of a lifetime? This is why I feel that this whole situation was a very poor attempt from him to soft launch a breakup. I think he was trying to create a fight, hoping that she would do the dirty work for him, and then she did it. So when she was being receptive, she was being very fair, she was being way more generous than this man deserved. Now all of a sudden he's having this like anxious little freak out because he's trying to figure out how to break up with her without making it look like he's being a dick. which...
Like, my feelings for you can go throughout time. And we're both buried 10 feet under the ground.
Is it 10 feet? How deep do you get buried when you get buried? Is 6 feet under a euphemism or something? Not a euphemism. Like a metaphor? I don't know. I thought that was weird.
I love you. When I love somebody, you're gonna have my love for life. I'm not just gonna take it away and play with that in a very silly way.
So you're not taking it back?
No, how can I? If I did, that would be fucked, wouldn't it?
Want to point this out for reasons that will become obvious in a second. He said that I will love you forever. I still love you. Very much like reassuring, validating, love, 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 love.
I do feel like if God puts us on a path, it's for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you would be open to exploring your relationship with God or with religion?
Probably not. I have never been a religious person.
Never been a religious person, are you kidding me?
Like, hello? Roll the tape.
I would consider myself spiritual, but I'm not super committed to religion.
Because she very openly and clearly said she does not consider herself a religious person. If anything, she considers herself spiritual, but that it's not a big part of her life and that she's not closed off to the idea of it, but is not a religious person. And now, for some reason, I think this is feigned shock and horror for the purpose of escaping a breakup without having to look like the bad guy. But this is ridiculous.
You had told me about your upbringing and about your family and about the conversations that you had with your sister after your mom.
First of all, it was her brother.
My brother saying, like...
Bad listener, bad communication. Second of all, I want to point out what a fucking giant, huge red flag it is that this man is using a very emotional disclosure about a significant trauma in her life, about her mother's death that happened a year ago, by the way, which is not a lot of time when we're grieving like a big, deep trauma, and using it as ammunition to try to make her feel guilty about not being a religious person. And also doing it poorly because he doesn't even remember the details of it.
That after this, I don't believe a God exists. I told you that.
You did not say never.
I mean, one could assume.
After this implies the before.
I also want to point out what like high school theater kid energy this conversation, like the way that he's conveying this has. No offense if you're a high school theater kid, this or like a theater kid, this is not about that. It's a very like juvenile, childish, unconvincing way of acting out a fake surprise and shock that lends itself to like a high school child. Never, Baba. Oh my gosh, you've never told me this before.
Are you serious right now?
This is the thing about this type of behavior. A, it's a red flag because we're very clearly trying to escape a conflict without doing the adult thing of just saying, hey, it's not working. It's not working for me. Or I'm being pulled in two different directions. I have to make a choice here. I'm choosing option A. Very sorry. With love and respect, it's not a fit. But also that we're doing it poorly. The only thing that's more offensive to me than somebody who is a manipulator is somebody who is not intelligent enough to be good at manipulating somebody. This reads as so painfully transparent and poorly executed that not only is it offensive and violent and manipulative and abusive, it's also fucking stupid, which is embarrassing. There's so many things about this that are just off-putting. A, again, the fact that we're trying to escape this without looking like a bad guy, which is not a very high level of emotional maturity, nor does it lend itself to a person who is likely to have the emotional wherewithal to have difficult conversations in a relationship.
Throw it at me, like a good argument is healthy sometimes.
But it also seems to convey a lack of maturity generally in being able to contend with uncomfortable emotions and difficult circumstances, right? The truth is that we all have to do things that will hurt somebody or that are going to be unpopular. We should have the emotional wherewithal to stomach that discomfort and just be honest for the sake of being respectful to the people around us and the people that we love. This is not that. This doesn't convey a high level of confidence in this person's ability to just like function as a partner. The other thing about this that is especially offensive though is that he is trying to paint her as a bad guy for not being a religious person. This is like classic evangelical charismatic Christian textbook. This is the you're a bad person for not being religious and because you refuse to allow me to gaslight you into experiencing a religion that you've already experienced and have since made the adult decision that you're no longer interested in participating in, and I'm going to make you feel like a fucking terrible person about it. Hello? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. This is such an abusive and terrible thing to do. If somebody does this to you, run away. Please. I think it goes without saying. Run so far away from this person. But also the feigned shock and horror of like, never been religious before. If you catch that, run so fucking far away. Run so far away from all of these behaviors because none of them lead anywhere good. Least of all to a safe, dependable, healthy relationship where we can have frank and honest conversations about a conflict.
Are you kidding me?
You knew that was not me.
I did not know that you never wanted to walk that path again.
I also want to point out, even if this is real, even if this 6th grade soliloquy about religion is being given in earnest, I want to point out that this being a deal breaker is, first of all, silly. But second of all, not, how did we get here, right? If it is that much of a deal breaker and we didn't communicate it up to this point, that's not her fault. That's on you. If there are things that you know, for example, I'm a child-free by choice person. I'm not interested in bearing children, being a parent, doing any of those things. So if I am going into the process of starting a relationship with somebody that it feels very important for them to be a parent and want me to be the co-parent of those children, we need to get that out of the way quickly because that's not going to be a fit. That's something that I'm very open and transparent about because it's a deal breaker, because it's a problem that can dissolve a relationship. If this was something that was that important to him, he should have led with that disclosure. So for him to act like she's the bad guy because, well, I didn't know that you meant never, which first of all, I think the never was clearly implied. But second of all, again, if that's the case, that's on you, buddy. That's your problem that you didn't communicate effectively, which seems like a pattern. I'm sensing a pattern.
And I have love for you. Just don't know if it's the kind of love that could get us through.
Ooh, this is also straight out of the evangelical Christian textbook. Straight from, I love you. I will always love you. If I say that I love you, you have my love for life. I'm not taking it back because that would be fucked up.
When I love somebody, you're going to have my love for life. For life.
To, I have love for you. I have love for you. But I just don't think I can carry us through on the love that I have for you because you're such a sinner, because you're a fallen spirit who can't be rescued. Even though I'm firm in my faith, I can't carry us both. Go away with that attitude, first of all, because again, it's embarrassing. But second of all, this is textbook, I'm trying to manipulate you and make you feel like a bad person, and also the Christian martyrdom complex. White Christian evangelical straight people love nothing more than to pretend that they're being persecuted. This feels like that. I'm being uniquely victimized because the person who was open with me about the fact that she's not religious and isn't interested in continuing to be a religious person is being consistent in the things that she's already told me. Oh, please, won't someone shut up? Shut up. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. It's childish. It's phony and disingenuous. And it is also painfully obvious. It's a painfully obvious red flag about this person's lack of emotional maturity, about their ability to communicate effectively, about their ability to navigate a conflict successfully, and about their commitment to open and genuine communication in a partnership with the shared goal of conflict resolution rather than the singular goal of steamrolling my wants over top of what everybody else wants. All of the red flags. Where did my red flag go? All of the red flags. Run so far away, Kate.
And it's so fucked because with my other connection, we haven't even talked about love or anything like that. But I just can't go through with this.
Isn't it so sad for me that I'm a bad communicator and I'm nuking this relationship because I'm too much of a bitch to be honest about my wants and needs and just can't say that I don't want to be with you anymore? Won't someone think of me? Won't someone feel bad for the men? Ooh, this is just... Remember when I said that there's a lot to unpack this season? There's so much to unpack. There are so many moments on this season, just in the first 4 episodes, that this show has been more rancid than all of the past seasons combined, honestly. Speaking of rancid, we're going to talk about one other couple. Patrick is the man. I only remember that because it's my father's name. And Casey, I believe, is the woman. These two had a connection in the pods, I don't know who makes it out of the pods quite yet. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have watched up to episode 6 by the time that you guys see this video, but I don't know yet. So we're going to talk about them.
You remember I told you that, like, my parents aren't from America, right? So when I was younger, I mean, that was, like, an insecurity of mine.
Okay.
Just not being, like, accepted for, like, my ethnicity.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst listening. This is the if anyone is doing this to you where you're disclosing something, just generally, but especially something vulnerable and emotional, and they're going, okay, okay, sure, while obviously doing something else, you are allowed. You are entitled to be mad, because not only is that bad listening, it's also rude.
I was, like, literally the only person like that.
And you don't want to share with me?
I don't mind sharing with you.
Okay.
Her affect through this entire conversation, red flag, in my opinion, not only because it's bad listening, it's not particularly validating or compassionate, it's certainly not encouraging vulnerability and emotional safety, but also because it seems as though there are some red flags about her attitude toward race in relationships. We're going to cover that in a sec.
Do you think I should share it with you?
Yeah, I think you should.
He's also so very obviously nervous about this conversation, understandably so. It's clearly been an issue in past relationships, but also because the whole ding-dang premise of the show is, can you fall in love sight unseen? Can you form an emotional connection with someone, fall in love with them, and continue to have a successful relationship with them after you find out what they look like, based on this very formative period of time in the pods where you don't know what the other person looks like. Nick Lachey loves this monologue. He does it at the beginning of every season, without race, without the pressures of your financial situation, your looks, your size, whatever it is that he fucking says. They literally built the premise of the show around this central truth. And yet, somehow, we're in the middle of an interaction where we're holding somebody at metaphorical knife point to say, you should tell me what your ethnicity is. Why? Why is that so important?
My ethnicity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's so very nervous, and I feel so bad.
Or where are your parents from?
Yeah. Well, let me think this through for a second.
Fair.
I am wondering why you're so hesitant.
Why are you so insistent about it? I think it makes sense for this man to be hesitant, not just because this is like it's violating the whole premise of the show, but also because he just told you that this is an emotional and traumatic issue that he's had in relationships, in being not accepted, not found attractive because of his ethnicity.
I just don't want to, like, be judged for it, you know?
Okay.
But I can share it.
At no point in this exchange has she made any attempt to be validating, to be reassuring, to be curious, to invest any emotional input into the conversation. She has said okay or K for the duration of this conversation, and is yet somehow feeling emboldened enough to ask the question, why are you being hesitant?
Okay, so my parents are from South Asia.
Okay.
But I'm half Chinese, half Cambodian.
Yeah, because she clearly doesn't know what that means.
It's like South Asian and Chinese.
Okay.
Have you ever dated an Asian guy before?
No, I haven't. What? I'm just being honest.
No, that's fair. I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sorry you feel hesitant telling people that.
People say, like, you know, Asian guys aren't, like, the most attractive guys.
Yeah.
And I've had people say that.
Say that they're not attracted to you because you're Asian.
Yeah, like, they don't know how much that hurts.
He has continued to offer up vulnerability, transparency, even when he probably shouldn't have, and she has made no attempt to be reassuring. I also want to point out, at several points in this exchange, she's had the opportunity to engage with a genuine curiosity about his experience, about his emotions, about his ethnicity, by the way, Because if someone doesn't know what South Asian means or what Cambodian means or what the cultural norms are around Chinese relationships or Cambodian relationships or just like family norms culturally, you can just ask, right? And also, if it's not an issue, if it's not a problem, if it's not something that really matters or is a prejudicial issue for you, now would be the moment to offer up the reassurance and say, I was just curious. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't bother me. I would love to know what your experience has been with that. What are holidays like for you? Literally anything. Literally any question that provides some level of reassurance, genuine curiosity, emotional investment, and she has failed at every single opportunity to do any of that, which is a red flag. This is sus.
Like this is like in college or whatever. And they're like, yeah, but he's Asian. Like, why would you date an Asian guy?
That's so incredibly hurtful.
I'm just a normal guy from Colorado. I would complete Colorado, bro.
Yeah.
Fishing, hiking, whatever, you know. I literally do every single thing that every Colorado person does.
Yeah.
This is very much the child of immigrant parents trying to assimilate thing also, for what it's worth. It's a very painful thing, and it can be a trauma point. I don't want to police the way that people engage with their own culture, to be clear. That's none of my business. But for what it's worth, lots of folks who have immigrant parents, especially first generation parents, can struggle with feeling a pressure to distance themselves from their culture, from their ethnicity, from their race. This also isn't exclusive to immigrant people, for what it's worth. This does happen in Black culture as well, where folks might feel the need to sort of posture to, especially if they are immersed in a white environment, by saying, I'm just like you, I do all of these things, or I'm not like these other people, right? And it's a very difficult situation to be in because it causes you to almost kind of like pretend to or actually sometimes hate this part of yourself and this part of your family for the sake of trying to find literal and figurative safety in an environment that's hostile to you. It's a very complicated issue. It's a very complex thing. For what it's worth, a lot of folks will find a greater sense of like safety and security in processing that trauma in therapy. So always links in the description. But I honestly really feel for this man. All of you who say that I hate all men and I'm never nice to them, write that down, because this is like genuinely a really traumatizing and difficult experience for this man, and she's being awful.
They automatically, by looking at you, put you in a box.
Yes.
I mean, I just want you to know I have never dated an Asian guy, but it doesn't change anything for me.
Awesome.
The rest of this exchange is kind of a nothing burger, but I wanted to draw attention to this, not just because it's suspicious and that this is very racist in my opinion, but also because it's a great example of what it looks like when somebody is reaching for this moment of connection. The Gottman Institute talks about bids for connection as an indicator of success in a relationship. This is sometimes what that looks like. Somebody offering up these disclosures, somebody giving you an in to sort of participate in the conversation, and we can very much miss it sometimes. Not, I think she missed it because she sucks, but sometimes we miss it because we just are preoccupied, or especially like for folks who are parents or are very busy and have like, you know, a lot of things on their plate, we can miss those bids for connection. Educated actually is a great resource for doing the work around like furthering your intimacy with your partner, especially if you're finding yourself like in a slump. There's lots of great courses that I have found to be really useful and that also Erin and I have really enjoyed. So link in description, go use my code Mickey Atkins because you get 50%. It's great. But I do really feel for this man because I think he was continually offering these bids for connection with this woman that he's trying to develop a relationship with, and she just fully neglected them. It seems like because she didn't like this conversation, despite the fact that she initiated the conversation. There actually was another clip that I wanted to talk about with you today, but this has gone on for quite a while. Also, in the middle of filming this video, I realized that we had a technology failure, so I think we're gonna call it for today. Like I said, if you guys want to come get my fully fleshed out and sometimes a little bit chaotic thoughts, come watch the live streams with us on Friday. They start at 12 p.m. Central Time, and we're playing Love is Bingo, Love is Sningo. You can play bingo and win stickers. It's very fun. And we're also raising money for different charities and nonprofits this month. So it's a good time. Come hang out. But we will probably make some other like updates in this form. So if you like this video, like the video, make sure that you let me know if you like this type of content in the comments, because it does really help. And don't forget to check out Beducated as well. Thank you, Beducated. So like the video, you can subscribe. We do talk about stuff like this and other types of things that you can stay for. And then don't forget to share the video to help the channel grow and to help each other grow. I'll see you guys next Saturday. Okay.